Hello, it's good to see you again on VTV International, on VTV News, brought to you by VTV International. I'm Dai Chang, and here are the headlines for this hour. National Assembly chairman meets with the U.S. Senator Patrick Leahy during his official visit to the U.S. Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam's high-tech hub, has been successful in using new farming technologies. And Vietnam to ensure social security and improve pension scheme for elderly people, as 10% of the population is over 65. As part of his official visit to the U.S., National Assembly Chairman Nguyễn Sinh Hùng met with President pro tempore of the U.S. Senate Patrick Leahy on early September 10. At the meeting, National Assembly Chairman Nguyễn Sinh Hùng said that the National Assembly of Vietnam highly values ties with the U.S. and hopes to further deepen their comprehensive partnership. He also praised the important results in the relations of the two countries after 20 years of establishing diplomatic ties. Vietnam hopes to enhance cooperation with the U.S. regarding law legislation to serve its law reform process. Patrick Leahy spoke highly of Vietnam's socio-economic achievements in the region and the world. He stated that the U.S. Congress is keen to step up cooperation with Vietnam, thus fostering mutual understanding and relations between the two countries. Earlier on September 8th, National Assembly Chairman Nguyễn Sinh Hùng met with U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry and Trade Representative Michael Froman. More to follow.
Meeting with Secretary of State John Kerry, National Assembly Chairman Nguyễn Sinh Hùng said that Vietnam wanted to strengthen its comprehensive partnership with the U.S. He praised the bilateral trade, cultural exchanges, and educational cooperation between the two countries. Kerry said that the U.S. was ready to support Vietnam in natural resource management, climate change mitigation, legislation, and humanitarian causes. Both leaders shared the view that disputes in the East Sea should be resolved through peaceful measures. At his talks with Trade Representative Michael Froman, Chairman Nguyễn Sinh Hùng proposed that the U.S., Vietnam and other partners wrap up negotiations on the Trans-Pacific Partnership. He said that economic integration is a key agenda in Vietnam's development and has the full support of the Vietnamese legislature. Froman added that Vietnam's trade, investment and living standards could be improved by the possible TPP agreement.
President Trần Tấn Sang is leading the Vietnamese delegation attending the 36th General Assembly of the ASEAN Interparliamentary Assembly, or AIPA 36 in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. During their second day, AIPA member parliaments discussed final articles in the general plan for the ASEAN Economic Community. These policy-making bodies are responsible for legislation and oversight of law enforcement, are working closely for the prosperous development of each state, as well as for the peace and prosperity of their people. Leaders of ASEAN and AIPA also held regular talks to improve cooperation between executive and legislative bodies. As a proactive and responsible AIPA member parliament, the National Assembly of Vietnam will continue its cooperation with other AIPA member parliaments for a strong ASEAN community, raising the international position of the bloc. The National Assembly Judicial Committee convened its 21st session on Wednesday in preparation for the National Assembly Standing Committee meetings to be held this month, as well as the 10th session of the 13th National Assembly.
The National Assembly praised the government's report on fighting crime in 2015, saying that serious crimes and civil violations have significantly reduced. Many serious cases have been resolved, improving the public's trust. However, questions remain about how the judicial sector will prevent and deal with new types of crime, including white-collar crimes and corruption.
The Ministry of Public Security has done well in preventing and solving cases related to drug trafficking, but they have not done well with white-collar criminals and corruption. We must dig into the reasons for this. For many years now, we have seen fraud and corruption cases, but they are only exposed after it's over. How do we prevent them?
The report pointed out that we have been aggressive with drug trafficking cases, but there remain many drug-related cases. We haven't considered the 200,000 drug users in Vietnam. Many of them are involved in petty crime.
The National Assembly also heard a report by the Supreme People's Court on the court sector's performance and the settlement of complaints and denunciations this year. The Committee on Judicial Affairs asked the court to clarify the number of appeals and retrial cases and cases that the court issued arrests but had to release. The committee also asked the court to review cases in order to prevent wrongful convictions and review compensation procedures for those wrongfully convicted.
The 6th annual Vietnam-Japan Supporting Industries exhibition kicked off on Thursday at the International Exhibition Center in Hanoi. The event was co-organized by the Vietnam Trade Promotion Agency and the Trade Promotion Organization of Japan. The exhibition runs under the framework of the Japan-Vietnam Economic Partnership Agreement, which came into effect in October 2009. The exhibition attracts 100 Vietnamese and Japanese enterprises operating mainly in the processing and manufacturing industries. Showcasing 101 booths, 57 Japanese and 44 Vietnamese enterprises, the exhibition aims to create a supply-demand network, helping enterprises to connect, showcase their products, and create cooperation opportunities. The event will run until September 12th. Vietnam's high-tech hub, Ho Chi Minh City, has been successful in using new farming technologies in recent years. Thanks to high-tech methods, farmers can increase the quality and yield of agricultural products, resulting in higher incomes.
Binh Chánh district in Ho Chi Minh City has mainly alkaline soil. It's difficult to grow orchids here since they require a large supply of fresh water. However, this orchid farm has succeeded in implementing a new water processing technology and is using natural wind and light to grow Moraca orchids. This 2.5-hectare orchid farm required an investment of over $700,000 in technology. After 3 to 4 years, the farm did not only break even, it made a profit 3 times the investment.
Without technology, a 2.5-hectare farm like this would cost a lot to pay workers. It's better to have an automatic watering system and other technology to care for the plants. With these systems, we need only 5 or 6 workers.
In Ho Chi Minh City, the median income of farmers is about $15,000 per hectare, much higher than the national average. Ho Chi Minh City's success in high-tech agriculture serves as a model for agriculture sectors in other regions.
We are working with the Ho Chi Minh City Agriculture High-Tech Park to identify Binh Thuan's strengths and weaknesses. We hope to supply produce to local markets because often we must ship vegetables from Đà Lạt or Ho Chi Minh City. Our strength is tourism, so we could even bring visitors to greenhouses to see our production.
Ho Chi Minh City also seeks to connect agriculture sectors in the region to develop a supply chain and increase added value for its city agricultural products.
Connectivity in the region is important. It helps high-tech agriculture develop much faster. In a supply chain, we can increase added value and build a brand for agriculture products here.
Vietnamese agricultural products are facing great competition as Vietnam integrates further into the regional and world economy. Ho Chi Minh City's high-tech farming model can be adopted in other regions to improve the efficiency and quality of the Vietnamese agriculture sector.
Vietnam has exported aquaculture products to 160 countries, proving its competitiveness in the world market. However, shortfalls in capital for infrastructure construction and sustainable development still remain a concern for the sector. The following report discusses on the role of public-private partnership, or PPP, in promoting aquaculture sector in terms of capital and sustainable development.
According to a master plan approved by the Prime Minister, some $105 million is required for infrastructure development of producing aquaculture products. However, the government could only provide a paltry $7 million for this key export sector. So the private sector could be an ideal source of capital.
Public-private partnerships are one way to source capital. Since public investment isn't sufficient, it also creates chances for Vietnam to learn know-how from other countries and become more involved in global aquaculture development.
According to Vietnam Association of Seafood Exporters and Producers, private investors should take into account environmental protection in order to promote sustainable agriculture.
Any type of production can have a negative effect on the environment. Therefore, private firms need to be aware of protecting the environment when they do business.
For this reason, a public-private partnership agreement for responsible aquaculture was signed in Hanoi on Wednesday. The agreement involved the General Directorate of Fisheries, Representative Association of Private Investors, and international organizations. Although it was the first agreement between the three, several projects on sustainable aquaculture development have been launched.
In very practical terms, with farmers, we try to develop production systems with certification, partly organic certification, for example, in provinces like Ken Sang and Cà Mau, how to integrate aquaculture into mangrove forests without cutting down all the forests.
WWF has supported Bến Tre province in gaining a Marine Stewardship Council certificate, or MSC, for its clam products, and to get certification on responsibly produced products such as tuna, blue crab. In the coming time, we'll support Vietnam in calling for international and domestic consumers to buy Vietnamese products.
PPP could be a solution in terms of providing capital and promoting the sustainable development of the aquaculture sector. But according to experts, Vietnam still needs to work on the legal framework to make investment procedures simpler and transparent, attracting more investment from private and foreign businesses into the sector. Thanh Hải for Vietnam Television.
The Quảng Ngãi Central Province has made significant progress in encouraging investment and creating a favorable environment for businesses to prosper in more recent years. Since this year, the Central Region Province has granted investment certificates to 7 projects valued at $82 million. More to follow.
The 8 newly licensed investment projects this year are focused on real estate, oil and gas technology, and support industry component manufacturing. Compared to 2014, investment in Quảng Ngãi has sharply increased in both number and total invested capital.
The localities which successfully attract investment all have focused on utilizing their strengths. As we have a deep water port, we focus on heavy industry, while at VSIP, we attract investment in light industry.
Since 2013, the Vietnam-Singapore Industrial Park in Quảng Ngãi has successfully attracted 10 foreign investors with investment of nearly $132 million. Several enterprises have expanded their operation from Bình Dương to Quảng Ngãi.
We expand our operations to Quảng Ngãi as we see great potential due to the more skilled workforce here. Everything has gone smoothly so far, except for the complicated procedures in granting licenses for foreign investors. We hope the one-stop center will help solve these difficulties once it comes into effect.
The one-stop center is supposed to provide support to investors in administrative procedures and act as a link to find local workers.
We call for investment in order to create jobs for our people. Therefore, the consultancy group will help investors train and employ people.
The establishment of the one-stop center is one of the several initiatives pushed by Quảng Ngãi to raise the provincial competitiveness index and creating better conditions for investors. In the long run, this will help ensure jobs for thousands of people in the province.
And up next, let's check out how Vietnamese dong is weighed against some major currencies in today's trading. In the next part of VTV News, Vietnam to ensure social security and improve pension schemes for elderly people, as 10% of the population is over 65. And young scientists face hardships working in Vietnam as there have been challenges conducting their research. This and more coming up. Welcome back to VTV News. Now, Vietnam will strive to reduce the poverty rate in ethnic groups to between 3 and 4%. This is one of the main targets specified in Vietnam's agenda to implement the United Nations Millennium Development Goals, or MDGs, and the post-2015 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. Among the most concerning issues, the government is paying special attention to lowering the child malnutrition rate to below 8% for children under 5, raising the literacy rate among children over 10 to 98%, while ensuring 50% of the households can access clean water. To achieve these goals, the Prime Minister requested that each Millennium Development Goal be incorporated into the National Periodic Development Strategy for ethnic peoples. The country is expected to prioritize resources to complete the Millennium Development Goals by the end of this year, with an aim toward the Sustainable Development Goals. A project to plant Japanese pumpkins in Con Plang district in the central province of Kon Tum has shown good results. The plants grow well in local weather conditions. This has opened a new door for farmers here. After nearly 3 months, this hectare of Japanese pumpkins is about to be harvested. This first trial promises a high yield, with each pumpkin weighing from 1.6 to 2.2 kilograms, meeting their Japanese partners' requirements. This type of pumpkin needs special care compared to others. However, thanks to technical assistance, farmers in Con Plang are optimistic about planting them on their land.
The Dong Phuong company will purchase and export this pumpkin to Japan. Initially, the company helped fund the purchase of fertilizer and seedlings from Japan.
Each hectare of Japanese pumpkins is expected to bring a profit of 100 million dong, or $5,000. After this initial success, Japanese investors will continue with technical assistance and supplying seedlings to 37 farming households in Con Plang to expand by 30 hectares.
In the future, we will expand this model so that ethnic groups in the region can learn to grow Japanese pumpkins and benefit from it.
In a region where 90% of the population are people of ethnic groups, this type of business model is still new.
However, Kon Tum residents hope to pave the way for sustainable agricultural practices and at the same time improving the livelihoods of local people.
According to experts, Vietnam entered a period with an aging population in 2012, with over 10% of the population over 65. That situation will pose a challenge for Vietnam in the coming decades. How will the country ensure social security and improve pension schemes for elderly people? The United Nations Population Fund in Vietnam, in cooperation with the Global Aging Institute, organized a conference on this issue on Monday in Hanoi.
According to a survey conducted by the Global Aging Institute among the 10 ASEAN member countries, Vietnamese workers were the most worried about their future when they are retired. In Vietnam, in 2013, each elderly person is supported by 10.7 people who are currently working. But by 2030, this figure would have plummeted to 5.4 people and continue falling to 2.7 in 2050.
Traditionally, people have relied on the extended family for support in old age, but along with modernization, traditional family support networks are weakening. Pensions and personal savings are becoming all the more important.
Vietnam's population is the fastest aging in Asia. In the next 15 or 20 years, Vietnam will become a country with an old population. It is estimated that each Vietnamese person suffers 9 years of illness during their lifetime. That puts a burden on the health sector and society. At the conference, experts and policymakers shared international experience, especially on public-private partnership measures.
You have still time to prepare for the old age period. And for that, the UNFPA is really helping the government to look at what kind of pension scheme would help the government and also address the needs of the populations who are still, a lot of them are in the agricultural sector, informal sector, or in a vulnerable situation.
Currently, 5.6 million Vietnamese are senior citizens, but only 20% among them have any kind of social insurance. The government is making efforts to encourage farmers or freelance workers to join voluntary social insurance schemes, which aim to provide security after retirement.
Minister of Culture, Sports and Tourism Hoàng Tuấn Anh witnessed the signing of a tourism cooperation plan between Vietnam and the ACMEX member countries on Wednesday in Ho Chi Minh City. The ACMEX countries include Laos, Cambodia, and Myanmar. The agreement aims to create better links in the regional tourism sector, provide a basis for mutual recognition of tourism qualifications, and raise the standards of services. The member countries will have pledged to come up with favorable conditions to connect tourists and travel troops within the ACMEX region. This would also benefit future plans to integrate within the ASEAN economic community. The 11th Ho Chi Minh City International Tourism Expo, an important highlight of Vietnamese tourism industry, kicked off this morning in the southern metropolis. The event features more than 250 booths from 27 provinces and cities around the country, as well as 21 countries and territories around the world. It is expected to attract around 220 international buyers, 100 regional buyers, and over 25,000 visitors. Experts and businesses will also take part in various seminars on the development of tourism brands in Vietnam, cooperation for tourism development among Mekong sub-region countries, and tourism promotion among cities in the Asia-Pacific region. Now, the Northern Hướng Hóa Nature Reserve, Quảng Trị Province, recently revealed their recent discovery of a cavern with various yellow and white stalactites of different forms. The spacious cavern with a triangular mouth is located in the mountain range of Asok village, Bunglap commune. According to conservation officials, the cavern contains a number of shoals and small springs. Bigger, more beautiful stalactites can be found deeper inside. The new cavern is located 20 kilometers southeast from Phong Nha Kepang National Park. Over 100 Vietnamese and foreign publishers and distributors are taking part in the 5th Vietnam International Book Fair held in Hanoi. This year's book fair will see the participation of the Southeast Asian and Asia-Pacific Publishing Association, Oxford and Cambridge University publishers, as well as hundreds of publishing houses and organizations. Several other satellite activities such as book launches, discussions with writers, and a signing ceremony on copyright exchange will also be held. The event hopes to create opportunities for Vietnam to gain experience in managing and organizing publishing activities on an international scale and to introduce publications of local and international publishers. The book fair will last until September 14. The Ministry of Science and Technology will organize the first meeting of its kind between 70 outstanding young scientists and high-level government officials on Friday. It will be an opportunity for these young talents to voice their hope for policy changes in the field of science and technology. Young scientists are facing numerous challenges in conducting their research. Many who train overseas are hesitant about returning to work in Vietnam.
With 45 internationally published papers, Do Ngọc Dai is the only young plant researcher at Nghệ An Economics University. He returned to his hometown in order to contribute to science here. However, rudimentary research equipment and limited grants have made this difficult.
Plants around us have been researched enough. We need to go deep into forests to explore other plants, but this costs money. International publication is not always free either. Some articles can cost from 500 to 1,000, even to $1,000. International cooperation might help with this issue.
Besides proper income, young scientists also need a good environment for work and research. Many are not allowed to take charge in big projects despite their experience and expertise. This is another hindrance to welcoming young talents to work in the country.
Instead of large, immediate compensation, I think we should let young talents work on big projects. If they succeed, they will receive large returns. This is a better strategy to lure young scientists at home.
According to the National Science and Technology Development Fund, scientists under the age of 35 who currently lead research projects account for over 35%. The target is to increase this number by 15% every year. Incentives for young talents have been issued, but how they will be applied remains to be seen. Only when they can work in a professional environment and earn a decent income will they be able to focus on their research and contribute to the country.
And now it's time to check out our weather updates. And that's all we have for now. In the meantime, do log on to vtv4.vn or youtube.com/vtv4go for more news and updates. Thank you very much for being here with us. Goodbye for now.